All right, so moving on into chapter 2, we're going to start with this little review problem here. So when you have a quadratic equation set up like this equal to 0, remember to solve this, we want to factor. Okay, so when we factor, we can kind of ignore this equals 0 for now. What are we looking for when we factor? What are we looking for of this number? Factors of 12, right? So what are factors of 12? 1 and 12? 2 and 6? 3 and 4. Okay, so now what do we ask ourselves to find the correct factors? What's going to add up to give us 7? So which one of those? 3 and 4. Now, do we have an A value? Well, what is our A value?
1.
It's 1. Okay, so remember, when our A value is 1, we can just write our answer when we find our factors. So remember, this can be written as x plus 3 and x plus 4. But we still have that equals 0, right? This is what we talked about last Monday. How do we solve this when we have it equal to 0? Bingo. Remember, these can kind of be treated as their own individual factors here. So we can take x plus 3, set that equal to 0, and x plus 4, and set that equal to 0. Now, do those both look like something we can solve? Yes. Okay, how do I solve the left side? X plus 3 equals 0. Subtract 3. So this turns into x equals negative 3. There's one of our answers. How many answers should we have? 2. How do we get the other one? Subtract 4. We get x equals negative 4. So remember, with our quadratic equations, we're going to have 2 answers because of that squared that we started with. Okay, so we got 2 answers here. Just as a review, if I were to graph this, what would these 2 points show me? What do those 2 points show me? If it tells me x equals negative 3. X-intercepts, okay? Those show me the x-intercepts of our U shape, okay? Now let's look at this example, okay? I don't have it equal to 0 or anything, so I just want to basically focus on the factoring piece. So what do we look for first? If I tell you to factor this, what do we look for?
How many factors of 1?
Factors of 1. What are factors of 1?
1.
1 and 1, right? Is there anything else? No. Okay, now what do we want to figure out?
What goes in the x and the 1?
Right, we want to find out what adds up to our b value, which is 1 out of those factors. Can I get 1 and 1, our 2 factors here, to somehow add up to 1? No, I can't do that, right? If it was 1 and 0, then I could, right? But can I take 1 plus 1 or 1 plus a negative 1 to get 1? No. Have we ever had this issue before? We haven't, right? Every one that we've seen so far, all of our factors have worked. So what do we do if they don't work?
No solution.
I wish. It is not a no solution, okay? Because the reason it's not a no solution, can I still graph this?
Yes.
What should the graph still look like?
Such a line.
That parabola, right? Our graph should still look like a parabola. So there will still be x-intercepts in this parabola. They just might not be visible, or they might not be obvious when we're factoring. Okay, so this is where that quadratic formula comes in. Okay, I am not going to use this as an example because there's just a lot of ones going on. Okay, but what I do want you to write down is this formula, nice and big on the front page of your notes. Okay, so x equals negative b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now, this is by far going to be the biggest formula that you work with, okay? But I do not want you to be scared by this formula, okay? Go ahead and label this the quadratic formula.
Yeah, do we do this in...
You might have seen this in Algebra 1, yes. So this might be a good review for you, okay? Whenever I talk about formulas in my class, why do I tell students to not be scared? Why should I tell students they should not be scared of formulas?
It's like giving you the answer.
It tells you how to do it, right? It kind of serves as a blueprint for you to solve a problem. Okay, there's no thinking involved. You're just plugging things in and calculating. Okay? What are some things in this formula that we have to figure out?
What's negative b squared?
we have to figure out what A, B, and C are. Do we know A, B, and C? Or have we used A, B, and C before?
Yes.
Where are they from?
From formula.
The formula, remember? This one right here, this is A. This one is B. This negative one is C. Okay, again, there's a lot of ones going on. We're not going to do this example. Okay, but when we don't get factors to work out, okay, at the beginning, when we figured out these didn't work out, that's an automatic clue that we have to go to the quadratic formula. Okay, because this will give us our two answers here. Okay, why do you think this plus or minus is in here? Why do you think that plus or minus is in front of the square root? How many answers are we going to have every single time?
2.
2, right? That's why that's already in there. Because when you take the square root of a number, remember you're always going to have 2 answers. Because this kind of serves as a little reminder for you of that. Okay? So what I do want you to write down is this next example. Go ahead and write it on the front of your notes. Okay? We're going to practice using the quadratic formula on this one. However, let's see if we even have to use it or not. How would I factor this normally?
C, but it goes into, well, first you multiply these.
Right, because our A value is,
Odd number.
it's not 1, right? So our A value is 3, so I have to take 3 times 2, which is 6. Now we want to find factors of 6. What are factors of 6? 1 and 6,
2 and 3.
and 2 and 3. Now, what do we normally try and figure out here?
See what goes into 4.
Which one of those factors can get us to 4? Do we? None of them. Okay, so automatically, does that mean no solution?
No.
No. We have to use the quadratic formula, okay? You do not have to rewrite this down because you already have it, okay? But our quadratic formula here is what we're going to use. Okay, so biggest thing when you use the quadratic formula, when I grade this, is half of your grade is just going to be filling out the formula. Because there's a lot of us that like to do math in our head. Does that work out a lot? No, okay? Especially with all of this going on, we need to write everything down. So I want you to practice that here with me. Okay, so going to fill this out, let's go through A, B, and C. What's A?
3,
3, what's B?
4,
4, what's C?
2,
2. So what am I going to plug in for negative B?
4.
Negative 4, right? Yep. Plus or minus the square root. What's B? 4. So I'm going to plug in 4 squared. Minus 4. What's A?
2, 3,
3. What's C?
2,
2. And then all over 2 times A is 3. That is half of it. Okay, just filling out the formula. Okay, once you have this formula filled out, now we can continue solving. Okay, or actually start solving. So what I want you to do to solve, we're just going to work left to right, see what we can do. Okay, can I do anything with that negative 4? No, that's kind of just all by itself. We're going to leave that for now. Okay, what I can simplify is everything that's on the inside of the radical. Okay, so what is 4 squared? What's 4 squared here? 16. What do I do with these 3 numbers right here? Multiply all 3 of those. So what's negative 4 times 3? Negative 12 times 2? Negative 24. Okay. Divided by, what's 2 times 3? 6. Okay, we're really close, but what's something else that I can solve here?
16.
That square root. Yep. What is 16 minus 24? Negative 8 divided by 6. Okay, now, all of last week, we talked about how to simplify radicals here, or partial simplify. Okay, we always want to make sure that radical is fully simplified. Okay, so what I mean by radical is this square root. What's wrong with that square root? There's a negative on the inside. Red flag, right? Cannot have a negative in the square root. So, how do we fix that? What does this negative mean? Okay, if I split up the square root of negative 8, remember this turns into square root of 8, square root of negative 1. Okay, can I take the square root of negative 8?
No, but you can take the square root of it.
Sorry, can I take the square root of 8?
Yes.
I could, but I would get a decimal, right? So what did I tell you if you would get a decimal?
Just like a square root of
Leave it. Yep, square root of 8. What does this square root of negative 1 turn into? I. What I want you to do with that I is I want you to put it in front just so it doesn't get attached onto that square root in the end. Okay, so what we just did was we simplified that square root of negative 8. So right now we're left with negative 4 plus or minus I times the square root of 8 all over 6. Now are we done simplifying? Yes. Most of the time when you have that radical simplified, okay, you're done. Okay, and do we still have the 2 answers that we needed? Where do those 2 answers come from?
Positive and negative.
The positive or negative. What kind of number is this?
So, that's
That I is imaginary, right? This is a complex number. So if I were to graph this on the graph, will you see that? No, because it's imaginary, right? You will not see this specifically on the graph, but it is still there. Okay, so remember those imaginary numbers there? Those are our complex numbers that we talked about last week. Okay? So on your example 1A, it says 2x squared plus 6x plus 3 equals 0. Now, what do you notice the directions already tell you to do?
Use the
All
quadratic
these
formula.
are
It tells you to use the quadratic formula, okay? Sometimes it will tell you right away to do that. Sometimes it won't, okay? So this time it does, so we're going to use the quadratic formula right away. It helps. Go ahead and rewrite the quadratic formula off to the side of your example 1, just so that you have it as a visual and you don't have to flip back and forth. Okay, let's label our different pieces here. What is A?
2,
2, what's B?
6,
6, and what's C?
3.
3. Like I said, filling it out is half the battle here. So if I fill it out, what do I put in for negative B?
Negative 6.
Negative 6 plus or minus the square root. What's B again? 6 squared minus 4 times, what's A? 2. C is 3 all over 2 times 2. Yep, because A is 2. Yep. Okay, so we have all of that filled out. Now we're going to continue going through. So like I said, kind of read it like a book. We're just going to keep going through the formula until we're done. Okay, so if I do that, we have negative 6 plus or minus. Let's fill out this radical here. What's 6 squared?
36.
36. Minus, what do I do with these 3? Multiply. So again, we get that negative 24 divided by what's 2 times 2? 4. What can I do here? Yep, what's 36 minus 24? 12 divided by 4.
And that's, is that our answer?
Yeah, why do you think we're done?
Because they can both simplify into each other.
What'd you say?
They can both simplify into each other. Right?
What do you mean by that?
Like 4 12 can go into each other.
Oh, I'm glad you said that. Can I divide these two?
Yeah.
I can't. Why not?
Oh, one's a square root and one's not.
One's a square root, one's not. If I added this to it, then could I?
Yes.
Yes, okay, but we cannot simplify those. Am I done?
Yes.
I am done, right? Can I simplify this any farther? No, okay? So this is my full answer here.
So if you can't simplify the square root, that's how you know you're done.
That's how you know you're done. Yep. Let's talk about this real quick. Go ahead and write this off to the side. I told you we got to our final answer. X equals, I'm just going to make this up on the spot, 2 plus or minus the square root of 16 divided by 2. Let's work with this here. Okay. Can that square root be simplified?
Yeah.
Yeah, we can take the square root of 16, so let's simplify farther. What is the square root of 16? That's 8 times 2. What does the radical mean? Yeah, take a number times itself, right? So we get 4 divided by 2. Okay. What kind of throws it off right now is this plus or minus. Okay. Can I, because remember we have this equal to 0. Can I split this up?
Yes, and deposit.
Bingo. Okay, because one of these options can be 2 plus 4 divided by 2. What's the other option? 2 minus 4 divided by 2. Now we can actually find those solutions. So on this one right here, what is 2 plus 4? 6 divided by 2 is 3. So we get x equals 3 for one of them. On this one, what's 2 minus 4? Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. Okay, so if you can simplify the radical, you're going to have to split it up into 2 separate equations. Okay, but if we had like what we had before, was it this? No, it was 6, wasn't it? 6 plus or minus the square root of 12 divided by 4. Is that what it was? Okay. Can I simplify that radical? No. So remember, if you can't simplify that radical, then you are just done. But you always want to go as far as you can until you have your final answer. Yes?
Is it still considered a complex number even if there's not an I?
It's a good question. She asked, is it still considered a complex number without the I? What's the answer to that? It's not, right? It's just going to be a rational number. Yep. So the only time it's a complex number is if we have that I value, which where does that I come from? The square root of a negative, right? That's where that I would come from. Okay, good questions. Nice job. When you are using the quadratic formula, last thing, and I'll let you work. Okay, when you're using the quadratic formula, a lot of the times in math, it's easy for us to try and go fast. Okay, is that true? It's easy for us to try and solve problems by going fast. Okay, with the quadratic formula, is it very easy to miss little things?
Yes.
Okay, so do you want to go very fast? No. Make sure you're filling out everything slow, and then you can continue to solve that. Okay, so take your time on this. Hang on. I did want to talk about that. So we have 3x squared minus 2x plus 7 equals 0. So our quadratic formula, I'm going to write it here just as a reference. Okay. Question was, what do we do if the b is already negative when we plug it into here? What does this do?
Changes into a positive.
Changes it to its opposite. So when we plug that in, we're going to put a positive 2 in for that negative b. Good question. Last one for today. Again, what did we plug in for negative b? 2 plus or minus the square root. What is our original b value? Yep, so we got negative 2 squared minus 4. What's a?
A is
3. C is 7. Okay, and on the bottom we get 2 times a is 3. Okay, let's continue going through here. We get 2 plus or minus. What is negative 2 squared?
negative 4.
What's a negative times a negative? It would end up giving us a positive. What do I do with these 3 here? Multiply, so we get negative 84. Divided by 2 times 3 is 6. What do I do from here?
Subtract 4 and
Yep. Keep simplifying that radical. We end up getting the square root of
80.
negative 80 divided by 6. Are we fully done?
No.
No. What do we have to continue with?
Getting rid of that negative.
The square root. So what does that negative turn into?
An I.
Yeah, when you take a square root of a negative, that turns into I. Okay, can I take the square root of 80 and get a whole number?
I mean, you could, but you get a decimal.
I get a decimal. So what did I tell you to do if that happens? Leave it. So this is going to stay as square root of 80. Again, where did that negative go?
The I
The I, yep. And then keep this divided by
over 6.
over 6. Okay, yes, we had this equal to 0. However, can I simplify that radical anymore? No. Okay, so this right here is our answer. What kind of number is that? It's a complex number. Again, how do we know? The I. Yep, so this would have ended up being an imaginary number on our graph. Okay, good question.